It's hot and I'm wearing this big ass jacket.
Hey, I need you to be about we. If you put a limit on your love, then count me. Girl, I know my selfish ways be OD, but I just express in ways you don't see. Yeah, and you should know that I'm about you.
Hi guys, my name is Aphiwe and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, go and destroy that notification bell, click subscribe, and don't forget to comment and like on any other videos. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Aphiwe_Gwamanda and the same thing on Twitter. So today I'm bringing you a video where I'm talking about law versus medicine. So this is going to be a very comprehensive video. A lot of people on TikTok and Instagram have been DMing me, asking me how my journey from law to medicine and the transition and how I got into law or medicine. So this is the video where I explain and break down everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with my law journey, what requirements you need to meet, the modules, the structure and the breakdown of the law degree, and then I'm going to move on to medicine. However, I will also explain as in terms of the university that I went to, which is the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I can't really explain on other universities like Wits, UP, Stellenbosch, UCT, and all of those other universities. I will only be explaining the modules that and the requirements that you need to meet within university and in preparation to go towards university. So I'm going to start with my journey in law. So there's something we call a handbook, which is the ukzn Law and Management Handbook. So under the law degree is called your LLB. And if you apply to the law degree, in terms of eligibility, it says here you need to obtain obviously an NSC bachelor's degree pass, and in addition you have to maintain 32 points. And now obviously your university takes the people with the highest points, so they're going to start in terms of accepting people, they're going to start with people who have the highest points, and then go towards the people who have lower points than so if, for example, if you have 36 points, you have more chances of getting into that law degree than a person who has 32 points, for example. So you also have to take that into consideration. So within the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the law degree is offered at the PMB campus, which is the Pietermaritzburg campus, and the Howard College campus in Durban. And either or is fine. However, I do think that to get into PMB, you need, I think, a minimum of 34 points. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a bit higher, I remember that much, than it is to get into Howard College. However, it is still the same degree. It's just as per preferences of where you want to go and who you want to teach you. So, but it's still the same degree, same requirements. It's just that you go to different campuses. So you also need, obviously I said 32 NSC points, excluding life orientation. So if you count your points, if you're in grade 11 now and you're going to matric next year, you have to count your points. So you have to count your level 5s, your level 6s, your level 4s, or whatever, depending on how much you got, but excluding life orientation. So every time you count your points, you just have to exclude life orientation. And then you need a level 5 home language, so either if that's Zulu or English or Afrikaans or whatever, so you need a level 5 in your home language, a level 6 in English. If English is first additional language, so if it's FAL, you need a level 6 in English. You need a level 5 in maths literacy or a level 3 in mathematics, and you need a level 4 in life orientation. As much as they don't count life orientation, but life orientation is important. So I know a lot of people say they're doing history because they want to do law. It doesn't really go hand in hand. I never did history. I did physics, I did life science, I did maritime economics, and I never did history. So you don't necessarily need history to get into law. The only thing that's important is that obviously you've gotten above the 32 points, you've gotten your English, If it's home language, then you've got your level 5 in English. If it's first additional language, you've got your level 6. Maths literacy, you've got your level 5, or maths, you've got your level 3, and that's the most important. I think out of all of the subjects that you do in high school, I think English is the most important. You do use mathematics since you do accounting for legal practice, so you kind of do need the basics and the basic understanding of mathematics, just numbers. So within the University of KwaZulu-Natal, there is also a language component, which is isiZulu. It is the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So I believe in every university there is a language component. Other universities it's Xhosa, other universities it's Setswana, some of them it's, Pedi, I don't know, but like in University of KwaZulu-Natal it is isiZulu. So if you're not Swati, if you're not Xhosa, and if you're not Zulu, then you do have to do isiZulu. Or if you did not do it in high school. If you didn't do it in high school, then it's fine. But if you did not do it in high school, then you will have to do it. So for example, if you do not speak isiZulu and you want to go to ukzn, I would highly advise that you take isiZulu in grade 10, because you will need it later on. Majority of the people in ukzn are Zulu speakers. So yeah, I think if you're not Swati, Xhosa and Zulu, you do have to do isiZulu, and that will be counted towards your degree. And then you're going to move on to the structure and the order of the way you study your degree. So when you get into law, obviously you need to have registered, you need to have passed your matric, you need to have registered for your law degree, and you need to register for all of your modules within that year. So depending on if you choose to register like for the first semester, and then in the second semester register for your second semester, I just chose to register for the whole year, register for the modules that I need to register in. So within the law degree, you have legal modules, which is your criminal law, family law, and then you have your non-legal modules, which are modules that you need to do. You can choose your own modules depending on how the degree is structured within the university that you're in. But you have legal modules and you have non-legal modules, which are called electives. And then students have to obtain 112 points in their non-legal modules. So it just depends on how long you have to take it. I think in your first year you have to choose 4 non-legal modules, and in your second year you have to choose 1. So together that makes 112 credits. So credits is basically, it's like your NSC points. It's not really your points, but it's what you need to fulfill in order for you to carry on to the next level of your degree. So at the end of your degree, I have to have, let's say, 700 points in order for me to get a DC, which is a degree complete. In UK, so I'm just going to break down in order and explain what you do in your first year. So in your first year of university, you have to do an introduction to law, which is 16 credits. You have to do a non-legal module. Well, you have to do 2 non-legal modules, and then you have to do a compulsory English module. So obviously they state which English module it is. So within your English module, don't come into university thinking, you know what, I did English as my first additional language or as my home language, I understand English. It's not as easy as it seems. So you come in, you do your English modules, and so that's all of those modules. So your introduction to law, 16 credits, your 2 non-legal modules, 16 and 16 credits, and then you have your legal module, which your English module, pardon me, which is 16 credits. And then moving on into your second semester of your first year, you do a foundations to South African law, you do 2 non-legal modules again, and you do English module B. So in your first semester you do English module A, in your second semester you do English module B. So again, that is all 16 credits. So in total, in your first year, you have 128 credits. In order for you have to get 128 credits in order for you to move on towards your second year of study. Your non-legal modules, you can choose whichever module is available and which coordinates with your timetable that you have to draw up. So you can choose a module like psychology, philosophy, sociology. I remember I chose criminology. I chose politics in my first semester. In my second semester, I chose sociology and criminology. And then in my second year, I also chose criminology. I think it was easier for me to choose criminology because you learn things like the criminal justice system. You learn a lot of things that go hand in hand with law, and I found it very interesting to study criminology, so that's why I did so. And I believe you have to choose, well, I think, per my advice, I think you have to choose a module that goes hand in hand with your degree, as well as just choose a module that's easier for you. You're still going to be stressing about your law modules. You also don't want to stress about an elective. So choose a module that's easier for you, that you enjoy, because basically what they're trying to do is for you to be a well-rounded student, for you not just to focus on the law and be oblivious to everything else, but for you to also know the law and also know everything else. I think that's what they're trying to do. And then moving on to your second year. In your second year of study, you have to do in your first semester, you have to do criminal law, family law, law of persons, legal research, writing and reasoning, and then you have one non-legal module. So sometimes you have a module that's 16 credits, sometimes you have a module that's 32 credit, meaning it carries more weight in towards that year. Sometimes you have modules that are 96 credits, sometimes you have modules that are 8 credits. It just depends on the degree that you're in and the type of modules that they have to do. So I remember if you're doing law of persons is 8 credits. Sometimes a module has as much work from the 8 credits as the 16 credits. It just depends on the module. I remember law of persons was one of my favorite modules, and criminal law. I really enjoyed criminal law, and you really get taught by the lecturers that are in the best of their fields. So it's just dependent on where you want to go and what you want to pursue as well. So again, that non-legal module, I chose criminology as my second year. So that's the last time in University of KwaZulu-Natal, that is the last time you do a non-legal elective within your law degree. So it's the whole of first year and first semester of your second year. That is when you do the non-legal modules. And then moving on to your second semester. Second semester, you do your constitutional law, you do law of delicts or torts, you do human rights law, you do interpretations of law, and you do property law. And in all, in your second year, it comes up to 228 credits. I remember some people struggled with delict. Delict was not as difficult for me. It's just dependent on you. Don't take whatever people say and, saying, not this module is difficult, whatever. So just put as much effort as you do to all of your modules as you do to your easiest module. Put as much effort into it. I remember some people were just like, interpretations of law was easy. For me, I found it very difficult. So, like I said, it's just dependent on you and what kind of person you are. And then moving forward and towards your third year. So your third year, you do a bit more modules than you did in first year. So remember in first year you did 4 modules, and in your second semester you did 4 modules. In your second year, you did 5 modules in your first semester. Yes, 5 modules in your first semester and 5 modules in your second semester. Now, in second year and third year, you do, in your first semester, I believe you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. In your third year, you do 5 modules in your first semester and 6 modules in your second semester. So in your first semester, you do contract law, you do international law, you do professional training 1, you do specific offenses, and you do succession. And in your second semester, you do accounting for legal practice, you do criminal procedure, which you do have to pay attention to. That is the one thing that they don't really tell you. Pay attention to accounting, pay attention to criminal, anything that has procedure, pay attention. And then you have law of evidence, you have jurisprudence, you have legal diversity, and you have labor law. So all in all, that also makes 128 credits. It's just dependent. Some modules are 8 credits, some modules are 12 credits, some modules are 16 credits, some modules are 32 credits. It's just dependent on how they structure your degree. And then towards your fourth year, which is your final year, you do administer, I think you do around 6 modules in your first semester and 7 modules in your second semester. It's just dependent on how you choose your selectives. So in your fourth year, you have to choose, you have your basic or your compulsory modules, and then you have to choose 3 selectives. Three selectives, meaning that you have to choose a module like you did in your first year with your non-legal modules, but you have to choose a module that you'd like to branch into in your last year, but it's a legal module. So in your first semester, you have corporate law, you have negotiable instruments, you have security and insolvency, and then you have to choose a public interest law. So there are 3 public interest laws. You have clinical law, you have teaching legal skills, and you have street law. Usually everyone just goes for clinical law, which is basically you go to the law clinic and they teach you how to consult with clients, they teach you how to take down information from clients. It's just dependent on, you know, the university that you're in. So in our university, I think majority of people chose clinical law, and the more number of people, the more they're going to take people from clinical law, and they're not really going to teach street law or teaching legal skills. So everyone just went to clinical law because obviously you still need to consult with patients and whatnot. And then in terms of your so for clinical law, you do that for the whole year. And then for your selectives, so you can choose 3, remember, selectives. So there is access to justice in South Africa, you have bioethics, which is more like medical law, you have cyber law, you have environmental law, you have gender and the law, you have intellectual property law, you have international criminal law, you have income tax law, you have maritime law, you have research projects, or sentencing. So I remember in my 4th year, I chose environmental law, I chose intellectual property law, and I chose maritime law. So that spoke to me, so that's where I did those 3 modules. And in total, in your 4th year, you have to fulfill 136 credits. So in total for your degree, you needed to complete 520 credits, meaning all of the modules that you've done, you needed to complete 520 credits for a degree complete to be awarded to you. So that is basically how the law degree is structured. Now, in terms of experience, I believe that in order to be a good law student, you need to be an avid reader. I think if you don't like reading, you won't survive. And I equally you saying, you know what, Aphiwe, you speak good English, or Aphiwe, you like arguing, and so you should go study law. It's not like that. You don't argue all the time. I feel like the only time you really debate or you argue a case in court for your clients is when you have moots in your 4th year, and that's the only time you really kind of argue with other like your colleagues. And I believe that in order to be a good law student, you need to have a sharp mind. So you needed to have known the law. You have to remember that case law you read in DLECT. You have to remember that case you read in corporate law and interpret it in a way that suits your client. You have to be, that's why I say you have to be an avid reader, because you're still going to read theory, you're still going to read case law, and you also have to be in line with the news, what's going on in the news, what's going on in parliament, who's like, what law is made, how does this affect our legal standing things that moving forward. For example, in America, they just ruled on the Roe versus Wade case. That has a lot of repercussions on their law in terms of reproductive rights, in terms of the charters that they've entered into, in terms of, okay, how does this affect now the economy? How does this affect criminal law? How does this affect so many other things? So basically, in your last year, you just need to focus on that. So remember, in your last year, you do administrative law, you do insurance and agency, you do professional training too, you do sales, lease and credit agreements, you do civil procedure, you do corporate law, you do negotiable instruments, you do security and insolvency. So again, really pay attention in civil procedure, because that's basically what you use every day as a lawyer or an attorney or an advocate. That is what you use. And then there are different avenues that you can get into when you want to become an attorney or a lawyer. There are 2 avenues. You can either do your articles of clerkship, where you can stream and go into becoming an attorney, or you can do pupillage, where you can become an advocate. Some people go into becoming prosecutors, with becoming inspiring prosecutors, where they work for the National Prosecuting Authority. Some people use their degrees to do so many other different things, work for organizations, work for other different companies. You can do your articles of clerkship and then move forward towards working towards a bank and do banking law, or go into other different streams and becoming an in-house attorney, or becoming a medical attorney, or becoming a medical lawyer. For example, you can get into so many other different things. You can get into shipping and logistics law, you can get into oil and gas law, you can get into diamond law. There's so many different laws that they are out there in the world, and so it is your duty to research. But guys, just do remember that there are different avenues that you can get into. If you did not get into LLB the first time, you can always do your BA law, you can always do your politics, philosophy and law, you can do BCom law, you can do BSS and major in law modules. There are so many different aspects that you can go into first before you branch into law. So I know a few people who did BA law, which is a 3-year degree, and then added 2 years to complete the LLB. So it's not the end of the world if you didn't get into law the first time around. You can just always do something else and then branch into law, take law modules and then branch into law to complete the rest. Remember, apply for job shadowing, apply for vacation work. Every time you have vacation, if it's June or December, apply for vacation work in firms, so you can see what best suits you, and which, as much as you can go in towards a firm, but it's also dependent on you of whether you like that firm and whether you have to work there, because you're going to work there for like 2 years. If you choose to go towards your clerkship route, you're going to work there for 2 years. You can decide to apply to the Constitutional Court and work towards becoming a clerk in the Constitutional Court, where you work with judges. But there's so many different things, and there's so many different avenues that you can get into. If you want to know different things, just comment down below and you can ask me and we can talk about it. You can also DM me on Instagram and we can also talk about it. But I've gotten into that stream and I saw, I mean, it was a bank, but I saw what it was like and what I wanted to get into. But for me, I think I enjoyed the law degree more. But when I got an opportunity to do medicine, I didn't want to live my life with what ifs, and then I jumped towards that stream, which was, I think for me, I think I just needed a sign to go to where I want to go. But once you make up your mind, and I have friends who absolutely love their jobs, and I liked my job too. It wasn't that I didn't like it, but it was my preference to go into medicine. So the law degree is not hard. It has its challenges, but it is not impossible. so many people before you have done it, and I believe you can do it too. So if you do have any questions, please don't feel afraid to ask me. Okay, so under the College of Health Sciences, there are so many different degrees that you can get into. You can get to audiology, dental therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy. There's so many different things that you can get into. However, under your Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degree, which is called your MBCHB, I think some universities call it MBB something, MBB something. But yeah, I think MBBS, yes, I believe within the degree it offers a variety of things. So as just like law, you have your different aspects of medicine that you do branch into and really dig deep into. So obviously I'm also going to just state the requirements that you need to have gotten into medicine. So you need so you need a national senior certificate. So obviously you need an NSC. They don't necessarily put points, it's just people with high points basically that get into medicine. And you at least need to have achieved a minimum of 60% in each of your mathematics, physical science, life sciences, and English. And obviously applicants will be ranked in accordance to their performance. So you need to score a level 6 in maths, and they need pure mathematics, not math literacy. You need to have physical science, life sciences, and English. Yeah, and basically almost a 65% in all of your modules. So that's if you're from grade 12, you basically need your 60% in these subjects that I've mentioned. If you are a mature student like myself, if you've come from another course, another degree, you know, something else, maybe you were working or whatnot, you need a 65% credit average for all of your modules within university. So I needed to have 65% and above to get into medicine, and you need a 60% for the subjects that you did in high school, which is your math, your English, your physics, and your life science. You needed to have scored 60% in those subjects, and then you needed to have scored 65%, which is a credit way within your modules in your previous degree. So if you did a Bachelor of Science degree, you needed to get that 65% as a weighted average. And then for international students, so if you're an international student, this is governed by the SADC agreement. So such applicants must have met the minimum requirement for admission, like your South African students basically. So you must have met those basic minimum requirements. So when you get into your medical degree within ukzn, you're going to have to write a proficiency test. So and your proficiency test, meaning if you are Zulu speaking, you have to write a Zulu test, which will exempt you from doing the module. So you have to write a proficiency test, and it's like an exam where you write it just to determine if you know what's going on, for you not to write the module. So unlike law, they do not determine that you're Zulu speaking or you're Zulu, so you should know it's a Zulu, but instead you write an exam, and if you fail that exam, you will need to do isiZulu. The same thing can be said about computer literacy. You also do computer literacy as your first year module, and if you pass that examination, then you're exempted from doing the module. However, if you do not, then you will have to do that module. So in your first year of study, you do your basic and foundation science to medicine, and this is 96 credits. And basically we call it BFS, and BFS is basically like a different components in one module. So for example, if you come from a Bachelor of Science, there's little or no modules that you're going to get credited for, because they are, let's say there are 7 modules within the BFS degree. So you do physiology, you do anatomy, you do pharmacology, you do histology, you do but you do different components. You do virology or variology, I forgot but I believe it's around 7 modules, but in this one module, and obviously it has different components. So if you're coming from a science degree thinking you're going to get credited within the university, you're probably not going to get credited. You're going to have to start from scratch and like repeat the things you've been doing. So for me, I also didn't get credited, but it was better for me because I didn't do all of these. Actually, it was, I wouldn't say better, but at least I didn't cry over it because I never did science modules anyway. So if you're coming from a Bachelor of Science degree, then you still have to go into repeat these modules, because it's not just one module, but it's a different like components under a module. And then you're going to carry on doing becoming a professional. Now, becoming a professional is like, you do a lot of things. You do biostatistics, you do basically your administrative part of medicine, where you learn how to measure number of people, clinical trials, how to be a doctor, a good doctor, how to like, especially if the patient comes in and they have a sickness, you have to minimize that sickness, so you have to go to the root of the problem. So basically that's what becoming a professional is. And then obviously you do English literacy, and English literacy is more helping you with a certain component of the degree. And then you have isiZulu, and then you have computer literacy. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it weighs 152 credits. So in your first year alone, it weighs 152 credits, and you have to have fulfilled those 152 credits. My apologies. So again, I'm still going to experience some of these things, but I'm just, picking things up from the handbook. So in your second year of studies, you do 3 modules. You do community and evidence-based practice, which is 16 credits. You do homeostasis, which is 72 credits. And you do coordination, protection, and control, which is 72 credits. And again, in your whole of your second year, that makes 160 credits. In your third year, you do again 3 modules. You do mental health and neuromusculoskeletal problems, which is 64 credits. You do reproductive health, blood and AI, infections, diseases and AIDS, which is 64 credits. And then you do integrated approach to illness, cardiac symptoms of disease, which is 16 credits. And then in your third year, you have a yearly module, which is called Community and Evidence-Based Practice 2, which is an introduction to research and evidence-based practice. So that's the year module. So in your first semester, you only just do the mental health and neuromusculoskeletal problems with your yearly modules, and then in your second semester, you do the 3 others. In your fourth year of study, so basically from year 1 to year 3, you're basically in your it's called School of Laboratory Medicine, and then after your 4th year, you're more into your clinical years. And in your 4th year, you do Integrated Medicine 1, you do Community and Evidence-Based Practice 3, you do Integrated Primary Care 1, you do Child Health 1, you do Integrated Obstetrics and Gynecology 1, you do Integrated Accurate Care, and then you do Introductory Integrated Medicine 1. which is a lot. It's a lot, you know. But that's basically what you do in your 4th year, and that all accounts to 160 credits. And then in your 5th year, so in your 5th year, I believe you go to Pietermaritzburg. I am not sure if you go to Impangeni. I heard something along those lines, but I'm not 100% sure. You're not within the university. So within the university, there are, or in medical school, which is Nelson Mandela Art School of Medicine, there are 1st years, 2nd years, 3rd years, mainly on campus. You don't usually have your 4th years to 6th years on campus, and the 5th years are not within Durban anyway. So yeah, so in your 5th year you have integrated medicine 2, you have integrated obstetrics and gynecology 2, you have integrated primary care 2, you have child health 2, you have mental health 1, you have integrated surgical practice 1, and that all accounts to 144 credits. So like I said, in your 5th year you're more in like Pietermaritzburg. I think it's in Impangeni if they have the Impangeni option, but you're basically in, yeah, you're not in Durban. And then in your 6th year you have your integrated medicine 3, integrated obstetrics and gynecology 3, you have integrated primary care 3, you have child health 3, you have mental health 2, and you have integrated surgical practice 2, and that all accounts to 192 credits. So, and basically I never see the 6th years on campus. I hardly see them on campus. They're usually just at the hospital, wherever you're placed, depending on the rotation or the block that you're doing. So in your 1st year, I believe you structure everything in accordance to your modules. In your 2nd year, I believe it's just timed, and then I believe in your 3rd year you do blocks, where it's like once you finish this block you move on to the next block and whatnot. So you do a variety of different things. You do you learn from doctors in internal medicine, gynecology, surgery, rheumatology. It's just dependent on where you're placed and the structure of the university that you're in. Now I can't say much about medicine because I've just gotten in it myself. But if you're coming from another degree, or if you're coming from high school, then I think it is best for you to do physics and life science, especially life science, because you do physics in your 1st year, in your 1st semester, which I found to be very difficult because I hadn't done physics in 4 years. And suddenly in my 5th year, it was just like, okay, now there's physics and now there's chemistry, things that I'm not used to. And you also do things like biochemistry. I think you do that until your 3rd year. So yeah, it's just very complicated. But also, I think choose a degree that's best for you. Choose a degree that you love, because you will cry yourself to sleep. You will have the urge to give up and to deregister, but if you love it, then you'll stick through it. If you don't love something, you'll always have that, I should be doing something else, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So always choose a degree that's best for you, and plan your career out and plan your next steps out. Nothing is going to go according to plan. However, if you love it, you'll stick through it and you'll do it in Kisuria. So if you guys have any questions, I will also just put this on the side somewhere. Yeah, all of these things I'll also put on the side for you guys to see. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative. If you do have any questions, please comment down below. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm always willing to help. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you know when I post and when I'm going to post it. I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and love and light.
chemistry.